it's been a little over 2 years since that first teaser trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4, but there was a good bit of detail that we saw that could add to the lore of the Lost Master arc. However, I am very curious about one character that we were essentially reintroduced to, at least for those of us who played or watched Union Cross. Welcome back, y'all. This is your girl Empowered Muse, and today we're going to talk about just how Strelitzia could play a role in the Lost Master arc. So I actually made a couple of videos on Strelitzia last year. A year? Wow. Time has really flown. And while one video explored a little bit about what her role could be, the other was a theory that essentially called her a replica. And so I kind of wanted to revisit both of those videos in a way and really dive into why exactly we're seeing Strelitzia now in the Lost Master arc when we saw her die in Union Cross. So one idea of why Strelitzia appears before us now is because her appearance and role is one that is destined to not only reunite with Lauriam and possibly Vin, but she might also be destined to meet Sora. This would be really interesting if Sora is in fact Player's third life, and if you remember from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, Strelitzia would watch Player from afar, usually on the rooftop of one of the buildings, and dream of the day that she could finally meet and talk to them. In this scenario, it would be a really interesting callback if Strelitzia did see Sora as Player, which would pretty much solidify the fact that Sora is Player's third life. That is, if we don't get that confirmation at some point in Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. This would likely mean that despite never really talking to Player in Union Cross, Strelitzia would possibly recall her feelings upon seeing Sora, since she could be sensing Sora, or rather Player's heart. And so perhaps Strelitzia existing in Quadratum is part of a larger path of destiny for both Sora and Lauriam. If Sora is in fact Player's third life, Strelitzia might act more like his guide to a bigger truth about the Lost Masters, at least while they're in Quadratum. And this would also forge Sora and Strelitzia's bond, giving her the opportunity to meet and bond with Sora, who would be Player's third life. And as for Lauriam, his newer purpose, as he stated in the Keyblade Graveyard in Kingdom Hearts 3, was to find out more information about Strelitzia and her data. So if Lauriam does in fact make it to Quadratum at some point in the Lost Master arc, he'll pretty much be following his destined path to find Strelitzia and find out more about how she ended up in Quadratum, and if what we're seeing is in fact a replica, how her data was used to essentially recreate her. So while this is a very likely option, there is another possibility of why Strelitzia is there in Quadratum, just kind of hanging out and being the one who is acting as a guide for Sora. And that possibility is that Strelitzia is in fact a replica, but her purpose isn't to meet Sora or even reunite with Lauriam, at least not in a pure sense, but rather to be a distraction for Sora, Lauriam, or both. And so this could potentially be a part of the Master and Master's plan to draw Sora and maybe even Lauriam to confront him and the Foretellers. Perhaps it was actually the Master of Masters who recreated Strelitzia from her data and wanted to use Strelitzia as a bit of a test case to test either Sora or Lauriam's heart. Actually, since Lauriam was originally supposed to host a pure darkness within him as a Union leader in Union Cross, the Master having Strelitzia recreated and reappear in Quadratum might have been done in order to draw onto Lauriam's darkness. However, Lauriam didn't wind up hosting a pure darkness in Union Cross that we know of, and there's a chance that the Master wasn't initially aware of this, at least before he recreated Strelitzia. That said, there's still a pretty good chance that if the Master wanted to distract Lauriam specifically, he knows that reviving Strelitzia using her data would be a pretty safe bet, since Lauriam has made it his purpose to find out what exactly happened to Strelitzia and or her data. And as far as Sora, Strelitzia could be a distraction to him by guiding him in a different direction and more towards the Master's goals as opposed to finding a way home. Strelitzia may also distract Sora through her desire to really bond and spend time with them when he may not have the time or luxury to do so. This part is more of a stretch because it's pretty unlikely that Sora's quest to return home would have been such a short timer, so there wouldn't really be any reason why Sora couldn't form that bond with Strelitzia anyway. So finally, there's the idea that Strelitzia wasn't really placed in Quadratum as part of her, Sora, or even Lauriam's destinies, or even to distract Sora and or Lauriam from the Master of Masters and the Foretellers, but rather she's just kinda chilling there, at least until the Lost Master arc begins seeing some sort of resolution. And so in this sense, Strelitzia would be a more independent person, not necessarily bound by what's destined or anyone's ulterior motives. And while yes, Lauriam getting to Quadratum and seeing Strelitzia once again wouldn't be an impossible feat, it may even really help Lauriam get that closure. Him seeing Strelitzia once more wouldn't really have to do with destiny or ulterior motives. Instead, there's the idea that Lauriam and Strelitzia could just exist together once more, which would actually be interesting if they were only able to exist together in the plane or realm of non-existence. But perhaps Strelitzia being in Quadratum means that Strelitzia isn't really able to move on to the final world. And this could be due to her being recreated in Quadratum with data, or maybe even her heart taking the place of the nameless star as part of her recreation, or rather reanimation while she's in Quadratum. And so it could be the case that Strelitzia herself has to see this arc to its resolution in order for her to get her own closure and move on to the final world. So Strelitzia is someone who we'll likely see a lot more of, and I'm glad that we'll be able to get more of her story and her perspective in this next arc. Whether her reappearance is part of a destined path or a possible distraction from destiny could really emphasize just how important she might be for the Lost Master arc. But I want to hear from you, so let me know what you think about Strelitzia's purpose in the Lost Master arc in the comments below. If you want to explore some more Kingdom Hearts theories, I'll be linking another Kingdom Hearts theory video here in the end screen. And as always, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video and want to watch more Kingdom Hearts content. And if there's anyone who may have questions about what to expect for the upcoming Kingdom Hearts games, be sure to share this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.